Good day and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Fred Johnson and I'm thrilled to walk you through our Entrepreneurship and Small Business course in our new XED platform. For ESB, it has become a very popular certification exam. It's become a very popular topic because the only true dream job is the one that you create yourself. So a couple quick things about XED before we dive specifically into the ESB platform. XED stands for Experience Education Differently. It can be accessed at experienceed.com. It's accessible through the browser on any type of device, whether you're using a desktop, a laptop, a Chromebook, an Apple, a tablet, or even a cell phone. We also integrate with, we're LTI compliant, so we integrate with Canvas, we integrate with Gmetrics, we integrate with Moodle. We're working on additional integrations as well. So as I said, we are browser-based. We have powerful simulations. We have the built-in immersive reader. I'll go through that in extensive detail when we get to it. Powerful accessibility tool. We are LTI compliant, and we are truly built for the modern learner. So we have tasks for all learning styles, whether you prefer to read, whether you are more of a kinesthetic learner, whether you need to have videos, we've got all of that available for you. We've also got bite-sized exercises. So whether you've got 5 minutes to sit down or stand up and work on something, or you've got hours at the computer, this will be a great fit for you. As an instructor, you have full control over the course flow for your learners, and you can differentiate your instruction even inside of your different groups. And one of the best things about our courses is that they have 100% exam coverage. They are mapped to the Certiport industry certification exam. So with that said, let's dive into the courses. XED can be accessed at experienceed.com. So you can copy and paste that into your browser. And when you log in for the first time, you'll notice at the top right corner, you have your name as well as your role. If you are an instructor or a center admin, you can come up here and you can adjust to different roles. In addition, you could go to account and adjust your password, add a picture, and adjust the language for your interface. From here, you'll notice as a learner on the left menu, you'll have a dashboard, which is what we're looking at now. You can click progress to see your progress through all of your different courses. You can click resources to get technical assistance as well as access additional learner resources. And you can see achievements. If any of your courses that you're taking provide badges, you can see which of those badges you've earned. From your learner dashboard, you'll see all the courses that you have access to. In this case, I'm going to talk about ESB, but if any of these other courses interest you, they are available through XED as well. And when you go to your course, you'll see the name of your instructor, the name of your group, and you'll click Go to Course. From here, you'll see the course dashboard pop up. You'll see the name of the course, and on the right side of the screen, you'll see your percentage. This is your percent of progress. I do want to remind you that that is not an indication of your performance. So if I have a 5% here, doesn't mean you're failing. It simply means you're 5% of the way through the course. If you've picked up and you started earlier and you want to go back to where you left off, you can click Go to Bookmark and go directly back to where you left off. And here you'll see the course broken into 4 units. Some of our courses are broken into 5, 6, or more units. And each unit is broken into individual lessons, and those lessons are broken up into tasks. So as an example, I'm going to slide into Unit 2 here. Before I do, I'll show you that you also have progress indicators for each unit. Over here on the left side, indicating your percentage for that particular unit. And on the right, if you've started something, it'll say ongoing. It'll say start if you haven't begun yet. So we'll dive into Unit 2. Each unit has an overview for that unit that will give you an explanation of what to expect in that unit. And you can navigate through the course by clicking Next or using this navigation menu here. If this navigation menu is taking up a lot of space on your screen, perhaps you have a smaller screen, you can close out that navigation to get a little bit more screen real estate, and you can always click navigation to bring that back up. So for today's example, I'm going to go to the lesson market research. You'll see, again, these progress indicators. I have not started this particular lesson. I've finished this one, and these are ongoing. And so you can see that it adjusts these icons here as well. Even if I've finished one of the activities or tasks, I can click practice to go back to it. So for example, this one I can see I've already done. I'll see how many times it took me. I'll see my score, and I can click see details for additional details. So for this example, I'm going to go to this data particular item. And when you click on one of these tasks, you'll see in the top right, study materials and task. And then for your study materials, you'll see an ebook, a quick deck, and a quick clip. Let me take a moment to break this down a little deeper for you. For each of these tasks, you've got 3 opportunities to learn the material. The first one is an ebook. This is a reading. This is kind of on the longer side of what we offer. So usually you can see there's not pages and pages to be read, but this is the content for learning from reading. It's also available via quick deck. I can come to the quick deck and I have flashcards. And I can come to the quick clip and I have a video that's going to pop up here. And that video is fully equipped comparable to a treasure in with closed captions and the ability to adjust the speed or the playback speed, excuse me. So you've got 3 different learning options. This is built to be catered to different learning styles. As an instructor, in theory, you could have your learners go through all 3 of these different study materials, but you can also have them choose based on their learning preferences. They're not evaluated on this content. This is what they are learning. I do want to point out that in the upper right corner, you will see the immersive reader. This is the speaker icon. This is available everywhere in XED. And in just a moment, I'll give you a demonstration of how that works. In the top right, you will see a bookmark. So if I'm working on this and I need to come back to it later, I can click the bookmark. And when I go back to my navigation, or sorry, my dashboard, I can click go to bookmark and it'll take me right back to that task. So as I previously stated, you've got your study materials and your task. You can toggle back and forth here. And the tasks are going to come in different styles of activities. So you'll have, in this case, a drag and drop. You'll see some multiple choice, some fill in the blank, some true false, some simulations and scenarios, and some interactive videos to keep it with variety. From here, I'll come in and choose my answers. And then I'll click check and I'll get immediate feedback if I got this correct or incorrect. And it'll also give me a breakdown of how many times I practiced this. And if I need to retry, if my instructor has enabled the ability to retry, I can come back and I can do this activity again to get it right if I get it wrong the first time. I can click see details here to get a further breakdown. And then to move on to the next activity, I can either click next or I can use the navigation to click on it. For this next task, again, I've got a new ebook with a new reading, quick deck with additional flashcards, and a quick clip with an additional
be a successful entrepreneur.
Here. And again, I've got closed captions and I can full screen my video. So I can move through the content this way. And then when I get to the end of the lesson, the end of each lesson is going to provide a practice exercise and a practice question. So for the practice exercise, in this case, I'm pulled into a scenario branching exercise, and I'll read through the content and I'll proceed and I'll answer the questions based on the scenario. Again, getting immediate feedback on my responses. There's also practice questions. These are more in the style of a quiz, and I'll get different scenarios here that I'll go through. And when I'm done, I'll submit and I'll get immediate feedback on this as well. So that's an individual lesson. There are multiple lessons within a unit, multiple units within the course. And at the end of the unit, I'll get a unit summary followed by unit assessments. The unit assessment, the objective assessment is similar to the assessment at the end of each lesson, but it compounds everything learned in the entire unit. And then there'll be a create project at the end of each unit where your learners are going to go through and actually create something rather than just answering questions in those activities. So this is how the course is built and looks from the learner view. A couple of points on your accessibility. If you have learners where perhaps English isn't their first language or they're not high-level readers, I want to return to one of these activities here. I'll go to a new one. And I want to remind you of this speaker icon, which takes you directly to the immersive reader. The immersive reader is a powerful reading tool that I recommend for all learners. This is built by Microsoft and it's built into our platform on every page. And when you click on it, it will open up the text from that page in the immersive reader. What I want to point out is that each individual user will operate this on their own, meaning you wouldn't set this up for your learners. You wouldn't create it for them. You would coach them on how to use it themselves. And a pro tip, having used this in the classroom for years, is don't just show this to your learners once and then say, good luck, start using it. Show it to them every single day to normalize the use of the immersive reader. One thing I would often do is I would let them know I'm a grown man. I went to college twice and I still use the immersive reader. And when I did that and I would demonstrate it every day, I would see more students using it. So opening up the immersive reader, you'll notice that the format of the text has changed. I can click play.
Characteristics of channels. In a business context.
To listen to the text, I can also choose the voice settings and adjust the speed as well as the male or female of the version of the voice. I can click on text preferences and increase or decrease the size as well as the spacing. I can adjust the font and I can adjust the theme or color of the background. This one is especially helpful for our students with dyslexia. I can slide over here to the grammar options and add parts of speech and syllables. And over here on the right side, reading preferences, I can turn on a line focus if it helps me to only see a few lines at a time. Then my personal favorite is this translate option. I can click here and choose a language. Notice that Microsoft provides a myriad of different languages available here. And one item that's really popular is you'll also notice that there are different dialects. So for example, for French, there's 3 different versions of French available here, 3 different versions of German. Even within French, we've also got Haitian Creole down here. And then for Portuguese, there's Brazilian Portuguese as well as Portugal Portuguese and a few different variations of Spanish. So if I want to translate this, I'll use Brazilian Portuguese as an example. I'm going to click on this and then I'll click document. And this is now going to take the original text and put it in Portuguese. So a learner could read the text in Portuguese or whatever language they choose, but they can also listen to it.
Características dos canais. Em contexto de negócios, canais.
If the learner's goal is to learn English, they can also view the text in their native language and then click original and start to connect the words from their language to English. So this is a powerful tool. It can be full screened. And I highly encourage you to demonstrate this to your learners every day and make this available. It's a powerful tool, but a lot of people do not know about it. So this is the learner side of the course. Once again, I've got my 4 units listed here, all of my lessons inside of each unit, and then activities or tasks within each of those lessons. I can click on progress on the left side of the screen at any time, go to my course, and I can come here and see my course progress in further detail. I can download a report and I can see the weights and values of different activities as well as my progress on different units. Sliding over to the instructor side, I'm going to switch to instructor. And when I'm a new instructor for this course, I'll click and create a new group. And in this case, I'll give it the name of my class. Now, if I'm teaching high school, it might be something like 4th period business principles. If I'm teaching maybe at a nonprofit in a corrections facility or maybe in higher ed scenario, I might have cohorts. So I might say cohort 1. Business and entrepreneurship, whatever the name of your course is called, you'll put this here. This simply separates it from the other courses within. What I want to point out is that you can separate or differentiate your instruction by adding different parameters to different groups. So even if you have a group of 20, 30, 50 students sitting in one classroom, you could give different parameters even within that same physical classroom. So I'm creating my first cohort or my first group. I'll choose a start date and end date. Note that you can come in and adjust these start dates and end dates at any time. So if something happens that extends your school year or your semester, you can adjust that end date. But these are the dates with which learners will be able to access the course. I'll come in here and add a learner limit. I always encourage you going a little higher than the actual number of students in your class, just in case you get a new student. And remember, the end date has to fall within your license. In this case, I'll choose Entrepreneurship and Small Business, and I will select the course. You can disregard the levels at this time. Upon creating the course, I'll have the option to add a description. This is not required. And then I will see the ability to adjust my parameters here. These parameters, where it says Learn Task, is referring to those tasks that we were talking about, the small chunks. So you can increase or decrease the value of those tasks, and then the practice exercises and practice questions are what you saw at the end of the lesson. So at any time, the instructor can come here and increase or decrease these, although I do encourage instructors to only make adjustments to this before students start, so as not to negatively affect grades after starting. The defaults are fine, but you're welcome to adjust these as needed, and note that you can adjust these even for individual or groups of students within the same class by creating a different group. If you're going to go that route, I recommend keeping the same name of the group, but putting another indicator such as an emoji or a letter at the end of it to identify to yourself that it is a separate group. From here, I can come into lessons and choose how many attempts do my learners get on each of those lessons, each of those tasks. Can they see the solution? Sometimes that's a huge win. Sometimes it can be a disadvantage for students to be able to see the solution. And can they retry after they've checked their answers? You're also determining where they begin. Do they begin with the study materials and move over to the task, or do they begin with the task, try it? If they don't know how to do it, then move over to the study materials. You can also choose to have them to require successful completion. This can be a great way to make sure your students go through in the correct sequence. However, you have to use some teacher judgment here. For example, if you choose to only give your learners one attempt and you require successful completion and they don't get it right, they can get stuck without being able to move on. So use your judgment as you create this, but note that you can come back and adjust this at any time, or you can restore the default values. Keep in mind, if you make changes here, make sure to click Save Changes in this box, not in the box above it. For the practice exercises, these are the ones at the end of each lesson. I can adjust how many attempts, if the student can see the solution, and if they can retry, but I can also come in and adjust the percentage that they get for getting something correct on a second, third, or subsequent try. So for example, student tries an activity or a practice exercise, doesn't get it correct, tries it again, and they get a perfect score on the second try. This would give them a 90% for that. I can do the same for practice questions, and I can go through and adjust the parameters all the way through. The course defaults to allow your students to be able to see the entire course as soon as they log in. However, if you want to limit what they have access to or limit certain students or certain groups of students, you can go here to the pencil. You can click this Customize Content icon, click Customize Content, and then here you can actually break down into lessons and even individual tasks. But you could come in here and say, we're into Unit 1 for a week. So I'll click on Unit 1, and then whatever's checked here is what your learners will be able to see. So at this point, only Unit 1 would be available. I'm going to go ahead and collapse this. And then maybe next week, we're going to move on to Unit 2. I'll come back in and open up Unit 2. And then I can do the same thing for Unit 3. If I remove Unit 1, now all they can see is Unit 2. So you have the ability to adjust this, but if you click Enable All Content, which is the default, learners, as soon as they log in, will be able to see the entire course. So that's up to you based on how you set up your course and how quickly your learners will navigate through the course. You'll get this group key in the top right. That's one way to add your students to the group. You don't have to give your students the group key. You could import your users using a spreadsheet. You could add them manually. But if you do give them the group key, they could register themselves by going to experienceed.com, clicking on register, and adding the group key there. This will allow them to create their own account. However, I personally prefer to create the accounts for them, either by going to import users or back at the dashboard. I can click users, I can click learners, and I can add learners individually or in bulk here. I can also add collaborators. If I have a teacher assistant or an admin that is going to be part of the course, I can add collaborators, or if I have a co-teacher. Just note that if I add a collaborator, they have the same access to the course that I do. As an instructor, I can also come here to reports. I can click on a course. In this case, go to Entrepreneurship and Small Business. And I'll see a list of all my students, and I'll see 4 reports available. From left to right, they go from less detailed to more detailed. So from general, I can see just the overall grade. Course progress, I can see the grade and the progress. And then as I work my way over, I get more detail. And each of these can be downloaded into Microsoft Excel. When I click resources, I can submit a tech request if I have something that's not functioning properly. But also, I've got these instructor resources here. And when I click Entrepreneurship and Small Business, it's going to prompt me to download a zip file. This zip file is going to provide you with this folder that's going to give you a study guide, answer keys. It's going to give you a PowerPoint presentation for each it's going to provide you a PowerPoint presentation for each lesson, not for the 4 units, but for each of the lessons within the unit. You're going to have a PowerPoint presentation available to you. You're going to have a learning plan for each unit that you can use. You'll also have a course syllabus that you can use and that you can adjust and tweak to your needs for your class. And you'll also have a course overview. And this course overview is going to give you a breakdown of each unit, each lesson within each unit, the timings of how long these should take if you're self-study or instructor-led, the hours for each unit. And then if you break down to the individual units here, you'll see each individual task, the timings for those, the objective domain that it aligns to for the Certiport industry certification exam, the description of that objective domain. Having access to this is a great way to set up your custom tests if you use Gmetrics practice exams. And then you'll see the timing, total time for each lesson within the unit. And this is in minutes, not in hours. So I can go through to each unit and see the total times. These are an estimate, so keep that in mind as you go through your course. And back to the dashboard. This is a summary of the entrepreneurship and small business course content. I hope you found this helpful. We'd be happy to set up a training session for you and your team, so don't hesitate to reach out.